The rule of mortals has ended. This world belongs to me!
Trigon the Terrible is just, the ultimate of bad guy villains. Certainly in the Teen Titans universe, you can't get any worse than Trigon.
To give credit where credit is due, the whole Raven-Trigon story comes out of the Marv Wolfman, George Perez Years of Titans. There's a trade paperback out called The Terror of Trigon that's just terrific. It's some of the best writing I think Marv ever did, and for my money, some of the best artwork George ever did.
Poor Raven, her whole life, she's known that something bad is going to happen, and here it comes. That, of course, is the arrival of her father. She knows that that's going to basically mean the end of her, the end of her friends, the end of the world as we know it.
It's the reason you have so many lighter episodes in season 4, like the Control Freak episode and Mother May I, is we really felt like we needed to balance that out because the Trigon Raven story was about as dark as it ever got.
Always be Daddy's little girl.
Trigon's interesting because we needed somebody who was more powerful than Slade. And in our universe, Slade is the big bad. So here we've got some guy who's even worse than him, even more powerful, and he makes Slade work for him. It was a big challenge. How do you take down the most evil of all evils?
You just look at him, you can tell he's 20 stories tall, he's omniscient, he's omnipotent, he basically can conjure anything and there it's there. You can't defeat this foe.
That was kind of a problem doing the show because Trigon is so powerful. How do you have them fight a character that powerful? That's one of the reasons why we had the Titans having to fight themselves.
Trigon's so powerful, he's not going to lift a finger to beat you up. He's going to just let you do it for him. So he splits them and they face, their own personal demons.
The Earth is mine!
Trigon is the evilest. He is evil incarnate. We knew we needed someone with an inherently deep voice, but we also knew we wanted to treat it, to give it its huge size and to just pitch it down lower than any human voice should really be able to go. We all know Kevin Richardson has the ability to be massively talented. He just did it so beautifully. And, you've got him acting in scenes against Ron Perlman as Slade, who is also a pretty darn deep-voiced evil guy. But Kevin's voice is so much deeper. And this guy, Trigon, is so evil that it makes Slade look like a good guy.
Look around. There's nothing left. What's the point?
Hope. That's the point. As long as we're still here, we still have a chance. And that's why we're going to keep fighting.
I think even with the Teen Titans fighting an impossible foe, who by all accounts can't be beat, the great thing about the Teen Titans is they still believe that they can. And they're going to try. They have proven time and time again that when faced with the impossible, they can make it happen. And they do. Trigon is defeated.
What ultimately defeats Trigon is, I think, the Achilles heel of someone who was all-powerful and all-knowing, which is arrogance. It's not that he doesn't see the threat coming, it's that he doesn't think it could possibly harm him, and why would he? But ultimately, it's just his daughter standing up to him.
Metreon Xantha!
I suppose you're wondering why I've brought you all here. Using all of your awesome powers, I command you to seek out the Teen Titans and annihilate them.
Control Freak was one of the villains that came out of our show. We made him. He showed up first in season 2 in just like a short scene in the beginning that was part of a larger episode. And he was so much fun when we got the animation back, and by the time the work was done, that we decided to bring him back in season 4 for a whole episode of his own.
Control Freak was originally supposed to just be like a filler character. We ended up really liking him because he's pretty much us. He's a big fanboy geek. It was our way to kind of do all the geeky fanboy stuff that we love to do.
We wanted to do a character that was really kind of an homage to the hardcore fan. And not just the hardcore Teen Titans fan, the hardcore fan of Doctor Who, TV, of movies, of Star Trek, of Star Wars, of everything.
When you're not cool, and I have some experience with that, there's a real desire to, if you can't be cool, to at least be the coolest of the uncool people, and I think that's what drives Control Freak.
He definitely has an air of superiority about him. If anyone is an expert at anything, it's gonna be him, and he certainly loves to flaunt that.
I control the horizontal. I control the vertical. And those buttons on your remote that don't seem to do anything? I know what they're for.
Control Freak, I think, is a little bit of David Slack, or a lot of David Slack. Just kind of every reference he had inside his head came out through Control Freak.
Being as he's sort of the uber evil fanboy, it just seemed natural that he would take the Titans into the television with him, which resulted in the most difficult script I've ever had to write. Not the hardest, but the most difficult, because every page you've got to think of a whole new show. It was just exhausting. When the first time they fight Control Freak in season 2, he's not that formidable, but here's this guy who knows all this stuff, and if he was able to take them into the area where he's God, where he knows everything, and manipulate that, then suddenly he goes from being a joke to being actually a threat, and I think that's part of the frustration of the episode for the Titans, is that if they were in the real world, they could just take him down, but in this world, he knows everything.
I think Control Freak's a great villain for the Titans because he is, in a lot of ways, always just one step ahead of them. You never know what's gonna happen next when this guy's around, so he always keeps you guessing.
Control Freak's in the same category with Mad Mod as one of those villains that I love to watch and hate to write, because he'll wear you out.
Foolish, snot-colored human. Have you forgotten that I am a 12th level space samurai? Have you forgotten that in here, I control the universe?
You will suffer for your impudence, green human! I am the source, feared across 3 galaxies, destroyer of it!
When we started working on the Bob and the Source episode, Employee of the Month, I really started to wonder if there was something wrong with us. And Amy Wolfram will tell you, she just kind of threw up her hands at a certain point. When the bad guy became Talking Tofu, she was just like, okay, I don't get this anymore.
I think Tofu has really done something to Rob somewhere in his past, and this is him getting back at it.
Without a doubt, the Source is probably the most far-out villain that we've ever created for the show. And, you know, Manager Bob is an extension of the Source. That actually started with us brainstorming an episode about something fun to do with Beast Boy. I always wanted to do an episode where Beast Boy got a job.
Everything is going according to plan, Supreme Creator.
Then we got this idea of the, the Titans doing a sting and Cyborg in an undercover cow, and I don't know what happened. I think we were tired.
Cows and aliens, they always go together. It's like whenever there's some alien coming down from wherever they come down, they're always messing with the cows. I don't know why. It just happens.
You're trying to apply logic and reason to this, and it doesn't work that way.
I am the source.
The big reveal. What is this sinister alien gonna look like? Is it gonna be huge with tentacles? Is it gonna have like breath of fire? Is it gonna be, be able to shoot lasers from his eyes? What is it? Is it gonna be menacing? Is it gonna be terrible, evil? No. It's a little cube about that big with a maniacal smile and a voice like this. Yeah, it's new foo.
So I worked with Glen Murakami designing Bob and the Source. I think we went back and forth on those things, just to get the Source, nice and squishy and tofu-y, and making Bob look really kind of 50s and out of place. I've eaten a lot of tofu in my life, and I'm very familiar with how spongy and squishy it is.
The problem with the Source is, in his own little Nufu mind, he thinks he's a whole lot more powerful than he really is. But I think once you take the Source out of his protective element, well, he's just a piece of talking tofu.
I think that some cartoons need to just be pure entertainment, and there doesn't have to be a single message or a single lesson to be learned or a moral. It's just, let's laugh and have fun watching a cartoon, and I don't think there's any moral. I don't even know if anybody could actually explain the plot clearly to me of what that episode is truly about.
Submit to my greatness, and I might just spare your pathetic... what is this?
Lunch.
were supposed to do a musical episode, and that got canned. So we had to come up with the story like kind of overnight.
From like 10 in the morning to about 10 at night, we concocted this character that was sort of this evil mother figure. We really didn't have that many great female villains, and we didn't have female villains that were evil in a really female way. That came out of, you know, we have a lot of evil dads on the show, and I really wanted us to have an evil mom.
Once we had the grandmother element established, which was the first element, it made sense to establish a sort of fairy tale element as well, because the story started drifting down sort of Hansel and Gretel lines.
Eat as much as you like, sweeties. There's plenty more where that came from. And remember, Mother loves you.
What mothers don't want to have children that love her? And of course, when you have an evil mother who feeds on that love, you kind of have an interesting dilemma.
She's essentially a love vampire that, and her power is too much nurturing.
If you really get a look at the real Mother May I, she's not that lovable, so she kind of has to use a little bit of persuasion in the way of hypnotic sweets.
I hired Billy Hayes as the voice of Mother May I, and Billy Hayes is probably best known as Witchy Poo from H&R Puff and Stuff, which is this great series that was done in the 60s. And we're also lucky and all such fans, and actually I believe the producers came to me and said, do you think we can get her?
I have to admit, like when she did the creepy laugh, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. It's just, it was really amazing.
There are things that recording technology can't do justice. And when she does that witch laugh, it's amazing when you hear it recorded, but when you're in the room with it, I'm not kidding, it sends a shiver down your spine. It's so clear and so loud. I've never heard anything like that laugh that she can do. It's a gift.
Mother will always be here to take care of you, whether you like it or not.
Bubba, you just opened up a six-pack!
What had happened was we designed a whole bunch of background characters for an episode in the 3rd season for The Hive. And I think Billy Numerous was one of the first. That was a name that Derek Wyatt came up with.
With Billy Numerous, I really wanted to make him kind of a fun, wacky Texan kind of character. He was, you know, a guy who uses his power to basically hang out with himself, you know, so he's that kind of character, so I wanted him to look like that. That's why he's got the shades on, and, you know, he's kind of got the red and black suit.
Look at this here funny Mexican hat I stole. Oh, hey, Billy, you're a good man. And a really good thief. Not to mention one heck of a good-looking feller, Billy.
The interesting about Billy Numerous is he can definitely be more than one place at one time, you know, and that can really be a problem because you've got, you know, 5 villains to fight. Here comes Billy Numerous. Now there's 5 of them. Now there's 10 of them. Now there's 1,000 of them. Although we'd have established that the more he divides, the weaker his powers do get.
That limit that we put on his power, I think, came organically out of what we wanted the story to be about, which is that, you know, even someone who could double themselves could get spread too thin. Otherwise, he'd just cover the planet.
Attaboy, Billy! Steal it all! Can't nobody stop you? Yeehaw!
Every villain has their motivation in terms of what drives them, and I think for Billy Numerous, a lot of it is that he just is having a whole lot of fun.
I don't even know that he's evil so much. He's just a jerk, you know? I mean, look what he does. He goes on a big crime spree. He steals a bridge. What are you going to do with a bridge, you know? He steals it because he can. I think that's what makes him formidable, is that there's really not that much method to his madness. He's just a jerk.
Well, butter my backside and call me a biscuit.